All right, welcome everybody to my class on Fiore's dagger plays. Fiore is a master who published a manual in 1409, so pre-fencing, and it was published in medieval Italian. 4 copies of it remain. I will be the pictures and the plates and the text that I will be working from come from the Getty copy, which is the most complete and most popular um, one of those 4 copies. I'm Master Lloyd Aldred. I live in Atlanta in the Barony of Tiradan. Uh, Title page has my 2 websites. Baron Lloyd is my broader website, and learnfiore.org is the Fiore focused website. Uh, we have a YouTube channel that you can access using @LearnFiore, and there's my email address. I just dropped in the chat a link to these slides and to the videos I'm going to be playing so that you can download them and look at them at your leisure. And let's see what I need to do to get the pages to change. Come on. I did practice this. All right. So these slides and videos are available for download now. They're already posted at learnfiore.org and baronlloyd.org. You can get the slides without the videos, and you can get the videos without the slides. The merged file is too big for me to post and host and allow you to download. I did try, but it was 2 gigabytes in size with the videos. And the recording for this class will be posted and linked in a few days. That QR code will take you to the same spot that I dropped into the chat. So let me talk very, very briefly about gear and safety. There are a variety of dagger simulators that are available. I really like the Cold Steel Roundel dagger, which is the one at the bottom there. It's currently $12 from Amazon. It was $8 when I got it, so it's still pretty inexpensive. I strongly recommend eye protection when you are practicing these plays. Even in slow motion, we're doing strikes near the face. The first time we did this at a university, I very cleverly um, stabbed my very lightly tapped my demonstration partner in the eye with my rondel dagger, which didn't do any damage, but wow, did it hurt. So please learn from our mistake and don't do that. When I do this class in person, I have a bag of about 10 sets of shop glasses that I loan to people who aren't wearing just normal eye vision glasses. Also, when we are doing the grappling parts, we choose not to use our thumbs for the grabbing. That we think will reduce the risk of injury, so that if we try to over torque or do something that might hurt somebody, that they'll be able to get out of it much easier than if we actually have grabbed their hand or wrist. You can see a picture there where, if I was doing this to actually in a real combat where I was trying to fight the person and hurt them, I'd have actually grabbed his wrist. But in this case, because it's practice and I'm not trying to hurt this guy, in this case, it's my son, I'm not using the thumb. And due to this grappling, most of these plays are not SCA appropriate. So please be very careful and very judicious if you want to bring this out onto an SCA combat field, and be aware of the rule set you're playing in before doing it. All right. So my sources, all of the images, the plates come from the Getty Museum. They have a complete copy they obviously own the Getty copy of the manual. They have scanned very high resolution pictures and put them on their website that you can download for free and use as you will. The translations are from Colin Hatcher, and you can either get them in the book shown on the right, which is The Flower of Battle, or those translations are also available on the Wigton Hour page there. And the photos and videos that we're using are all from our own learnfiore.org site. All right. So Fiore's dagger, he starts with 5 postas or positions. You might call them guards. I'm not really, I think guards is overstating it, but positions is probably a better translation. And then there are 2 introductory pages. And then there are 19 pages of plays, almost all of which have 4 plays on each page. So you end up with 76 plays on those page numbers. Um, Most of those plays have one fighter with a dagger and one unarmed. And generally, the one with the dagger is the one who's going to lose the fight. The master says in the introduction, if I want a dagger, I'll take yours. And then he goes on for 19 pages and demonstrates that. I have prepared 21 plays, 21 of the 76 plays for this class with plate, text, and video. I'm really expecting we may get through 10. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, see how much discussion we have. If there are a lot left over, I will go ahead and do a second recording by myself um, that will work very similar to this class and post that as well so that people can enjoy um, uh, the second part of what I prepared. And then there, after those 19 pages, there's another 2¼ pages of dagger versus sword plays. So a little guidance to looking at the figures. Each play is introduced by a master who is wearing a gold coronet. And then variations on that play are demonstrated by a scholar who is wearing a gold garter, as shown in the lower picture. The master or the scholar is demonstrating the winning action in each of these plays. And the person without either of those pieces of clothing is the victim, the person who's going to lose the fight. During the videos, I'm wearing a cornet throughout all of them to represent both the master and the scholar. I didn't want to be switching back and forth between a cornet and a garter, so I'm just wearing a cornet the whole time. All right, let's actually get into the plays here. So the first play is called The First Remedy Master. And the text says, I'm the first master, and I am called Remedy because I know how to remedy so well that you cannot harm me, whereas I, on the contrary, can strike you and hurt you. And I cannot make a better play against you than to make your dagger go to the ground by turning my hand to the left. So in all of these plates, I have highlighted in gold the actual movement instruction, but left all of the flavor text so that you can understand what he's doing. So you can see the figure on the left where he has reached out and stepped into the attack as the attacker was coming in and grabbed the wrist. All right, and there's a picture of Baron Aiden and I demonstrating this. And then next, I have a very short video, so don't blink, you'll miss it, of my son and I doing that part of the play. All right. So that's the basis for almost all of the rest of the plays that we're going to be talking about. That initiation. So the second plate says, I will turn my dagger around your arm. And because of this counter, you will not be able to take the dagger from me. And also without this turn, with this turn, I can drive it into your chest without a doubt. All right. So the cornet has moved to the person on the right who is countering the grab by moving his dagger. And here is what our interpretation of the play looks like. Whoops. We'll try it one more time.
Right hand, left hand is the response. And he could twist me and make the dagger go away, but the counter to this that he has to show us is to just bring the dagger up so that that twist doesn't disarm him. It keeps the threat.
All right. So um, everyone feel free to unmute and discuss or make comments if you disagree or have some other insight into this. But we'll move on to plate 3. I will lock your arm in the middle bind, and I will do it in such a way that you will not be able to give me any trouble. And if I wish to put you to the ground, I will do so with little effort, and you will have no chance of escaping. So we switched back. The person with the dagger is now the victim again, and the person on the left is wearing a garter, is doing a bind in such a way that he can throw the attacker to the ground. All right, here's my son and I doing this.
So the next play is called the first student. And in this case, I think it's an accidental miss. You're going for the arm, but instead of actually reaching the arm, you miss by a little bit. So instead, we're going to do a bind. So I'm going to go for the arm, I miss, and now I'm going to do a bind. This twist would enable me to drop him.
Okay. We'll keep going. So plate 4 is the countermaster to the first student. So what happens when somebody tries to do that bind to you? This is what you can do in response. I make the counter to the play that came before me. You can see the kind of position that I have put him in. I will break his arm or quickly throw him to the ground. And what's happening here, this one's interesting because the counter master is wearing both a garter and a cornet. But he is grabbing his own wrist to resist the bind and doing a counter bind instead. All right. And here's us trying this.
The counter to the play we just showed is done same response, but now the counter is I'm going to grab my own wrist in order to give myself leverage, and now his arm is bound rather than my arm, and I can at my leisure stab him with the dagger.
Okay. Moving on to plate 5, which is the second student. This is a good cover from which to take the dagger from your hand, and with this grip, I will be able to bind you as well. And this art is so effective that if I place my right hand under your right knee, then I will put you to the ground. So we're not going to demonstrate the leg throw, but you have a variety of options from here once you have grabbed the person's elbow with your other hand. So this is us doing that.
Stop it with my hand. If you're going to reel it in the thumb with the ground, but for safety purposes. I'm going to bring my second hand into play. I'm going to grab his elbow. And once I have his elbow, I have all kinds of options. I can twist, I can push, I can pull and push like this. Twist. One of the things we've learned when practicing this is that for some people, the push vertical will not work against other people. If I have someone who's a good 6 or 8 inches shorter than me, they will not have the ability or leverage to do this pushing or this. They will just run out of lifting ability before they're able to actually work. So in that case, the twist or some of the other options are available and will work just as well.
So I've found that the case even when the person I'm fighting against, is much more athletic than I am, is active duty military or something, and actually trains, and I fly a desk for the government. It's not a matter of strength; it's a matter of just the relative lengths of arms and lengths of body that they can't do some of the plays against me at my 6'2". But they have alternatives that they can do that do work. So plate 6 is the countermaster to the second student. I make the counter to the play that came before me so that you will not be able to throw me to the ground and not take the dagger from me or bind me either. You will quickly have to let go, or else you will be quickly stabbed with the dagger. So remember the person on the left in the previous case and in this case has grabbed the wrist and then the elbow, and now the person with the dagger is responding and grabbing their own dagger in order to resist the twist or to make the twist irrelevant because they can hold on to their own dagger with their left hand and let go with the right, with the arm that's trying to be forced. So here's our video of us trying to do this.
to do the counter to that student. In this case, attacking, grabbing my elbow, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the tip of my own dagger. Now he can't leverage me. He doesn't have the twisting ability because I have two arms on it, and I have a variety of options. The easiest one is to let go with my right hand and stab it with my left. Or I want, but I can also do leverage where I'm twisting in a variety of ways using the dagger as my lever.
All right. Any questions so far? All right. We'll keep going. Plate 7 is the third student. This is another variation of that same play, that same initial play. So this is a play with no counter, and it is inevitable that the player will go to the ground and lose his dagger if the student performs this technique as depicted. And when the player is thrown to the ground, the student can finish him in various ways. So obviously this is a kind of an energetic grappling move. I want to caution you to be very careful and take this slow and deliberately if you practice it. And you'll see how we do it in the video next. All right, so this is plate 7's video.
All right, the third student has a lot of grappling, so again, not necessarily legal, but still fun, trying slowly. In this case, the thought is attacking. I'm going to grab, feel it safely, and I'm going to pull. I'm also going to step in. Now I can throw in the foot across my legs, and I can step forward and use those as a ground very easily. It's difficult not letting him go to the ground in our demonstration practice. Very easy for all.
All right, I think we're doing good. We'll get further along than I expected. Maybe even finish all 20 or 21. So plate 8 is the fourth student. This play is rarely used in the art of dagger, yet it is an additional defense to know. For after beating aside the attack in this way, the scholar can then strike with a counter to the ribs or the stomach. Now, looking at this, you can see that the scholar, the one with the garter, his hand is behind in from our perspective in the picture, the attacker's hand. So yeah, to me, he hasn't done a really good cover because the dagger is still can be a threat depending on the particular angle. But this is our interpretation of how that works and how you might make it safe or safer.
The fourth student, it looks to me like there's an attempt at the graph that we've been working on with the other students, but this time you missed to the outside. And it gives you a response to what you can do with that attempt. So it comes at me, I missed to the outside. Now I want to make sure that dagger gets clear before it come to me. So I do something to get it clear, and now his ribs and his stomach are available to me for a punch. And the dagger is momentarily out of the
Okay. So moving on to plate 9, which is the counter to the first remedy master. I'm the counter to the first remedy master. Woe to he who remedies with the techniques that allow his left hand to be seized, and from this hold I will be able to drive the dagger into his back. So we're going back to that first play, which was the first remedy master, and now here's a counter to it. And you can see there's stepping, there's twisting, there's grabbing of the own weapon. All of that makes this work. Here's our interpretation of it.
next play is another counter to the first remedy master, the first play that we started with. In this case, he's only coming at me with one hand, he's got me. I'm going to grab my own dagger here, and I'm going to twist. Step, and now I have a variety of options. I can stab him in the back, either by letting go with my right hand, or probably have enough leverage to do with both hands.
And I was a little more gentle to him than the person in the plate was. If I'd applied a little more twist, he would have had to turn to avoid me breaking his arm. But because this is my son, I'm not going to actually attempt to break his arm as a demonstration. All right, moving on to plate 10. This is another counter, the second counter to the first remedy master. I'm also a counter to the first remedy master, and when the student grips me like this, I will strike him and make him let go. If he tries to do other plays against me, I will counter him without hesitation. So this one took us a little bit to figure out, and we filmed, but I didn't include a couple of different alternates. And as we did them and demonstrated them, we decided that they weren't right. So and that's to me the right way to try to understand these, to come up with an idea, try it, and go, well, that doesn't make any sense. What if we do it this way? Well, that kind of makes sense, but what if we do this? So we did a couple of those to end up where uh, in the video I'll show you. But looking at this, you can see that the attacker or the defenders, the guy that without the cornet or the garter, hand is on the attacker's left hand, not the right hand with the dagger. And we go, well, why is that? Did he grab the wrong hand? That's kind of dumb. Why do you need to counter that if he's grabbed the wrong hand? Just stab him. So this is what we came up with.
Stab, he's grabbed me, and now I'm going to bring this hand into play and strike his arm. So that it's clear. Now I can stab him into the back.
Okay. So we thought that made a lot more sense and still captured what was in the picture and then in the description.
Would you replay that video, please?
I will try. All right, so here's the plate again. And here's the video.
He's grabbed me. Now I'm going to bring this hand into play and strike his arm. So that it's clear. Now I can stab him into the back.
Okay, thanks. That seems like a hard move with your left hand going back out.
It actually flowed pretty smoothly, which made me think that really was what he was talking about. But certainly we can, when we are allowed to be in person and do this for real, we can try that. And or you can get a buddy and try it yourself and see if that makes sense. If it doesn't, if you come up with something else, let me know.
Thank you.
I don't claim to have things all figured out. But I have an idea that makes sense to me. All right, so we're 25 minutes into this, and at plate 10, we'll keep going. Maybe we'll get through all 21 that I've prepared. All right, plate 11 is the counter to the second countermaster. I'm not sure I typed that right, but I think that's right. This flows from the counter referred to in the previous play. It also flows from the counter referred to 2 plays back, where the counter remedy master has trapped the hand of his opponent with his dagger, and where he has told you that he can drive the dagger into my opponent's back. My play comes into that play, but when he says you can drive the dagger into your opponent's back, I drive it into his chest. But this flows from the previous play, even though I chose to finish it differently. So here's that play.
The next counter is very similar, same play, except instead I'm going to clear and then I'm going to stab him in the front.
Okay. I got a little more twist on my opponent that time, and that meant that the front was an easier target than the back. All right, plate 12, the 5th student. I am a student in the first remedy master, so remember back the very first play we did. With this bind, I seek to take your dagger and bind your arm. And since I do not believe that you know how to counter me, I will do this to you without delay. So the student is on the left with the garter, and He's grabbed the wrist, and then he's also doing a bind with his right arm once the wrist has been grabbed. And here's our take on that.
All right, our next play is called the fifth student. It's similar, but in this case, I'm going to step in, do a little bit closer grapple, and I hope you'll see that if I was doing this at full speed, he would be going down. I will not be doing this at full speed. All right, so the same counter on the wrist, but now I'm going to follow it up by stepping in, wrapping my arm around, and my momentum would take me to the ground if we were doing it for real.
All right, we'll keep going. Plate 13 is the countermaster to the fifth student. So now someone is attempting to do that bind to you, and this is how you resist it. I will counter you like this, so that you will neither take my dagger nor bind my arm, and my dagger and I will remain at liberty. And then I will be able to strike you when you let go of me in such a way that you will have no defense. Here is the plate for that.
The counter to that fifth student involves dagger. He counters, he comes over with the arm. So now I'm going to double. Grab the dagger, and I can stab him because I have more control over the weapon, even though he's trying to push and shove. He's going to throw himself onto the back or something because I have control over it. This is the reverse of how that was depicted in the book, just so that you can see the backside, because I thought that perhaps on the camera he was obscuring what was going on. You can see it through the bottom. But same play, comes over. Now I'm going to double, grab my dagger, and stab him somewhere as he's trying to throw me to the ground.
Okay. We will keep going. Plate 14, the sixth student. This cover is known to be much stronger, and I will make it so that so as to be able to obstruct you with various plays. And you cannot overcome such a strong cover because two arms can easily oppose one arm. So the student on the left is doing a different cover. He's grabbed his own wrist or crossed his arms in some way, and he's using that just to parry and control the incoming dagger and incoming arm. So here's us doing our take on that instruction.
So the sixth student, the response here is I'm not actually going to engage his dagger per se. I'm going to just do a strong guard that will make it very difficult for his arm to go through. So as he comes at me, I'm going to cross my arms and come up here and engage him here with both of them. I've got a high percentage of that working. I'm not going to miss because I've got a large surface area that I'm engaging him with. And that will protect me.
All right. All right, and then here's the counter to that. So now the attacker is going to counter that guard. This is the counter to the cover that came before, and I told you was much stronger, and I will turn him with my left hand. Having turned him, I will not fail to strike him. And I don't know why we have random letters over the middle of that figure. All right, so here is our interpretation of that play.
Right, he's got me blocked. I can't power through that. He's got a lot more leverage. He's got two arms involved, but it's pretty easy for me to use my offhand to push his near elbow out of the way and stab him wherever I.
Okay, we'll keep going here. So plate 16, you can see we're getting even more energetic here. Definitely not SCA combat legal. Do this slow in an ANS context, and we're good to go. With this excellent grip that I have made on you, I will not fail to break your arm over my left shoulder, and afterwards I can strike you with your own dagger, since this play will not fail me. So here is our interpretation of that play.
Seventh student is a grappling play with a throw. And it looks like to me that it's initiated with the right hand rather than the left hand. So if he comes out at me, I'm gonna make the guard, make my cover with my right hand, and in this case, I'm going to pull his arm past me and end up putting my shoulder into his armpit for a throw.
All right. Move on to plate 17, which is the counter to the seventh student. So you getting ready to do that throw. This is how you might resist getting thrown. I make this counter to you, who in the previous play intended to break my arm over your shoulder. I will throw you to the ground to your death with great force, and you will cause me no further injury. And as you can see, the person who's about to get thrown grabs the thrower's leg and lifts it. So here's us attempting to do this without breaking either of us.
All right, and the counter to the play, the grappling play with the throw we just saw, is going to involve lifting the opponent's leg. So I strike, grab, he twists, and now I reach down and grab his leg that's right in front of me, and he goes down and sits again.
These are a little awkward to do slowly and safely, so it doesn't look maybe as smooth as it might in a real fight. But also we survive it and don't end up with broken arms or any scrapes. All right, plate 18, the eighth student. I am in a good position to take the dagger from your hand, and to do it, I will push the point upwards close to your elbow, and you will lose it, and I will quickly strike you with it. I took the dagger in this way because I was not able to bend your arm. So again, the attacker's on the right with the dagger. We've done that first cover that we did in the first play with the grab of the arm, but now the response is to grab the dagger's tip and twist it and bend it in such a way that it forces the attacker to let go of it. All right, here is our version of that play.
Eighth student, here we're doing the same initial play, the same as the first remedy master. I'm going to engage him here, but now I'm going to grab his dagger with my right hand, and I can twist it forward and toward his elbow in such a way that he's going to have to let go. I can stab him if I want, beat him with the handle. I have options.
So there's a text comment about I'm uncertain how grabbing one's dagger blade does not cut the hand. That's a good comment. My perception of these rondelle daggers is they weren't necessarily all that sharp on the edge, certainly sharp on the point. But even if they were sharp, you could probably grab them reasonably carefully. And a few scrapes on your hand is better than getting stabbed through the chest. So, and there's probably a reason why this is plate 18. The earlier options are better ones. They're safer options, but this one could work too. All right, moving on to plate 19. The counter to the eighth student. I make the counter of the play that came before so that you will not be able to take my dagger in this way. I will press my dagger into your hand to make you let go, and with the cruel point, I will strike you for your trouble. So remember the dagger grab we just did. Now we're going to counter that. So here's that play.
Counter. Same idea, he's gonna come at me, he's gonna grab the tip. Now I'm gonna grab his wrist with my left hand. And I can choose to stab him anywhere I want. I can cut him, cut that hand, or I can go for a stab.
And that cutting would depend on the dagger being sharp on the edge, which maybe it is and maybe it isn't. I'm not sure. All right, our next to last plate here, plate 20, the ninth student. In this way, you will be driven to the ground and you will not be able to make any defense or counter. And I will quickly make the dagger that you hold in your hand go far from you because of my skillful knowledge of the art. So this is another option variation. Once you've gotten that wrist grab that was our first play, you can grab the attacker's leg and throw them to the ground this way. And here is our play doing that.
Ninth student, same initiation play. We're gonna make contact with his wrist and control it. But now I'm gonna step forward and I'm gonna lift his leading leg within me. So step forward. If I did that with energy, he would be going down.
Yeah, it was kind of difficult to keep him from going down without energy. So if you can manage that, it's pretty effective. But you've got to be certain of that cover before you put your body in that position to grab the leg. Oops. And then plate 21, our last plate, is a counter to the ninth student. You can't always do what you plan to do, and I am the counter of the scholar who came before, and this counter will make him look very foolish, because in this way I will make him let go of my leg, and I will drive the dagger in his face to demonstrate that he is indeed a great fool. So he's tried to go for the leg, but you've stepped into it and stabbed him instead. So here's the play.
So the counter to the leg lift is just stepping into it and using your other arm. Okay, he goes here. Now I'm gonna hit him with my other arm and step forward. While it's off balance.
All right. So that's my last play. I got a couple other things to mention, but not very much. So here at the end of the presentation, there's a more complete bibliography. If you want your own copy of the Getty, you can get a facsimile copy that I like to refer to a lot. It's available on Amazon. Then you can get Hatcher's translated version, which looks very much like the facsimile, except the handwritten medieval Italian text has been replaced by an italics English font, so that it kind of looks like what the manual would have been if it had been written in modern English. And then Freelance Academy Press has published a couple of different thicker books with both the original text and a translation on the facing page, and then lots of other articles and interpretations throughout the book. They're pretty beefy. They're about an inch thick each, and they're also a little pricier. They're $100 or so, although they're occasionally on sale. So watch for that. So those are all what I would call in SCA terms primary or secondary sources. The primary being the reproduction, the facsimile of the original, and the secondary being the ones with the translations. And then tertiary, there are a lot of interpretations out there where people have done in book form very much what I did in this class, where they show pictures of them doing the plays and explaining the plays the way they think that they work. We worked very early on in our studies. We worked a lot with Bob Charette's book, which is the one on the top, and I highly recommend it. Guy Windsor's series breaks things up and gives more detail in a couple of different sections. And then he has another book on longsword techniques. Uh, oh, and then a plug for our website and our YouTube channel. This is our local group and the people that I work with here to do this work. And that's it. And then finally, let me give a plug for Kingdom Arts and Sciences, which will be in Tiradon in a month on March 3rd, I think, March 3rd or 4th. It's the first weekend of March. It's in Newport News. It is literally a stone's throw from I-64, and I will have a table there showing this video and my flashcards and handouts and talking about Fiore. So please come by and talk to me. So we've got a little more time. Let's have some discussion if people have it. March 2nd is what someone said in the chat, and I think that's correct. So one of the text chat feedbacks was, I'm observing that these techniques really require bilateral strength and skill. They do not rely on a dominant hand. I think that's very true. Yeah, you need to have reasonable strength with your non-dominant hand in order to make most of these plays work. And the primary hand, obviously, as well. And I think that's probably true of most of the rest of the manual. An awful lot of the manual, the dagger's the biggest section by far, but there's a lot of two-handed sword work too that I've done a lot of study and practice with and classes on, and half swording, where you're holding your sword with one hand, but your offhand is holding on to the blade of the sword in order to turn the sword from a sword into a a lever arm, something that you can, very with a lot of strength, poke the tip into a gap in your opponent's armor and then pry it open like a pry bar. So all of those techniques require two hands to be pretty strong and for you to be very fit in order for that to work. So that's a good observation. I hadn't thought of it in exactly that sense before. So anybody else has any questions or comments, feel free to unmute or type it in chat or let me know.
I've got a question. On number 11, where you changed the counter from a back thrust to a chest thrust, what led you to try that and to decide to show it that way?
It was a little ambiguous, and there's probably other interpretations of that. So I'm backing up on the slides here. Let's see. There we go. So he does say that rather than driving the dagger into your opponent's back, he drives it into your opponent's chest, and that was the piece that I played with to make that decision. Okay. So
Okay, just from watching you do it, it felt like it slowed it down to get it into the chest. Like if you were going for the back, the same torso rotation that you're using to you block with your left hand could also be used to drive it into the back. It seems like there's just an unnecessary delay introduced there, but maybe that's necessary for the mechanics.
Right. I think you're right. It probably depends on exactly how your victim is resisting. If you have more energy and have been successful about turning them, then the backstab is going to be easier. If they've resisted and haven't turned as much, then the front stab may be better. That may just depends on timing.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Good question.
I think I made a comment earlier about leg work or footwork. Was there any way that you were able to guesstimate the best ways to add more energy in it? I think I mentioned it might have been a direct comment on plate 13, where I think you're trying to, I guess, twist the arm backwards, and there's a counter to it, but I feel like in the video you just kind of showed yourself bending over to twist the arm backwards. If you, with your left, I'm trying to explain this really well here, with your left foot, kind of move that in a circular motion out and back, that would give you the circular energy, or I guess like the inertia to get your person, get your victim on the ground a little bit easier, even if they did use that counter. I was wondering if there was any
Right.
like a counter to the counter.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. an awful lot of fencing, which is, post Fiore, can be mirrored. A valid counter is to match what your opponent is doing and, rotate in the same direction or move your sword in the same direction. So, certainly lots of variations in footwork could make these work better or worse. And that would be something that would be fun to experiment with if we were in person to see what would work better. So let me play the video.
Involves dagger. He counters, he comes over with the arm. And now I'm gonna double. Grab the dagger. And I can stab him. Because I have more control over it. He's trying to push and shove, he's gonna throw himself on it with my dagger. Because I have control over it. Yes, it's over.
All right, so I'm gonna pause that. Yeah, now that looking at it again, I see what you mean. Certainly, if he had had more energy, it would have been difficult for me to initiate my counter. And in order to bleed that energy, I would have wanted to rotate with um, that that motion in order to bleed some of that energy and give me time in order to make that counter. So the other next question was, are there one or more martial arts that incorporate these moves? I'm sure that they are. I have not personally studied any martial arts beyond SCA fencing and the related period manuals, but the guy Baron Aiden, who started our dagger work within the group and is now moved away and is doing other things, and I've picked it up and have been continuing it. He had previously studied Philippine knife fighting, which dates back to a similar distant past, and obviously had no initial cross pollination with an Italian dagger technique, just because there wasn't a lot of contact between the two cultures at that point. And the moves and the plays were very similar, because of the way the body works and because of the way, knives are almost universal and daggers are almost universal. All of that means that, people who are thinking about it in and trying to come up with logical structures to things come up with the same ideas and pitch them and explain them in very similar ways. So there will be, I expect, a lot of similarities with things, even though they weren't necessarily building on themselves directly. So Fiora made the comment that she has a background in Hapkido, which is Korean, and has a lot of similar grappling moves. So they're all similar, for a good reason.